They weren't talking about abortion. They were talking about school choice for education. They happened to be African American. I started talking with a lady, a very pleasant lady, who was explaining patiently and calmly in my interview with her why this group, this organization, feels the way it feels. And then there was a guy that took over the interview. Tall, towering man, angry, Trump-hating, typical Trump's a racist rhetoric. And so I went with the flow. And I started interviewing him as well, since he just kind of barged into the conversation. Then there was another lady behind me who was really cursing at me and calling me all kinds of names. So I thought, boy, oh boy, this is kind of what I didn't want to get into. But I'm kind of glad I did. I want to share this with you. This is Cut 25. This is my conversation with a couple of protesters holding signs advocating parental choice. But wait till you hear what happened when the Trump-hating founder of the organization, I did a little bit of research on him after I got back to the house last night. He's the founder of this organization. I'll explain all that in just a moment. But I wanted you to hear how this interview sounded. And again, keep in mind, as I was trying to point out some of the historic achievements of the Trump administration, there was a lady with this group that began cursing at me. You couldn't hear it on the tape, so we're going to play the interview in its entirety. But she started chewing me out, standing behind me, because she didn't like my point of view at all. She quickly figured out I was not on board with all of the Trump hatred that this tall gentleman, part of this school choice, that organization, was all about. So here it is, cut number 25, unedited, my conversation with some pro-school choice, anti-Trump protesters. Outside the Gallagher Center, a lady with a sign, "My child, my choice." And I know that's not what some people might think it's about. It's about charter schools and a parent's choice to send their child to the school they want. So you're definitely making a statement out here outside the Democrat debate, because those 7 candidates in there aren't really in your corner.
Right. Well, many of the candidates have expressed in their educational platform that they want to limit choice. So that's why we're here with the Freedom Coalition for Charter Schools.
What an interesting dichotomy, because often liberal Democrats don't seem to want to go down this path. What is it about charter schools and school choice that Democrats oppose?
So I'm not sure. I mean, I have my own thoughts around their alliance to teacher unions. But I think one of the concerns that I have is many of the liberal Democrats actually exercise choice for their own children. So why would you limit everyone else's choice? So when you think about Elizabeth Warren, her children went to private school. I'm not sure about Bernie Sanders' children, but I know as a parent, and I am an educator also, and I've worked in traditional as well as charter school environments, I should decide what the best environment is for my child.
Amen. It feels like it's the teachers union issue that might be the polarizing one, don't you think? Because a lot of conservatives say, boy, unions have done a lot of damage in this country, marched a lot of people off the proverbial cliff. Maybe that's what the distinguishing thing is. Maybe that's...
But the thing is, Trump's budget is not friendly to charter schools either. Because what Trump did was to zero out the charter school program and put it into a massive block grant program. And so his whole thing is he can talk out of both sides of his mouth. So from our standpoint, neither those Democrats who are opposing charter schools nor Trump, who is opposing charter schools, are friends of ours. Plus, Trump is doing all kinds of stuff that hurts the families of the children that we're standing out here for.
But don't you think, though, that of the choices that we have in front of us, Donald Trump you've got more of a chance, more of a path to what you want with Trump than you do any of the Democrats?
No, because Trump is a racist. And so what you need to understand is we're not out here because we're conservatives or liberals. We're out here because we believe that low-income and working-class families should have the option to choose. But if you are saying, I support that, but at the same time, you're talking about getting rid of black or brown families, you're talking about building walls, you're not for us either. And so we need to be clear, this ain't just a liberal or a conservative issue, it's an issue of who supports the families of the children that we're out here fighting.
So in your view, who does? If it's not Trump and it's
None
not
of them. None of them.
So no hope.
So look, man, I'm old. You feeling me?
I'm old
What
too.
I'm saying is, I done seen a lot of stuff come down the pike. And I done heard a lot of people say they for this and they for that, but you have to look at their actions. And so the actions of Bernie Sanders, the actions of Elizabeth Warren are against us. The actions of Donald Trump are against us. So we out here fighting, man, not for any one of these parties, but to send a message that this is a democracy, that people have a right to choose the best school for their children, but people should not be fearing being deported because they are Latino. So you see where I'm coming from.
I got you. All right, so everybody has a voice. Do you feel the same way? I mean, do you think?
Absolutely.
So no hope for Donald Trump either, as far as
No, sir. No, sir.
I mean, a lot of people believe that the Democrats are just closed. There's no path at all, at least with the Republicans. Republicans voice a lot of support.
Yeah, but hey, man, there's
Let me
Republicans
talk to her real
and then
quick.
there's Trump.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, all right. I get you don't like Trump. You think the Republican message is more in line with charter schools than the Democrat message?
Well, I feel like the Republicans are very hypocritical in their words and their actions. So, for example, if you call yourself, which they are, conservative Christian, how can you stand behind someone who, as Dr. Fuller said, is racist in action and racist in speech?
A lot of people, and Dr. Fuller, I might as well actually ask you this as well, because you guys you're so passionate about Donald Trump. There's a lot of people that argue that record low unemployment in the African American community is hardly the sign of a racist president.
Hey, man, there's a lot. First of all,
Is that wrong?
wait a minute. There's a lot of people who argue a lot of things.
Sure, but you
Okay,
understand
so no, I understand the point. But here's what I would say to you. I know enough to know that a lot of what Donald Trump is taking credit for started under Obama. And so I'm not a fool, right? And I understand that you can say, yeah, there's record unemployment figures. That's a good thing. But when at the same time, you are doing things that hurt people because of your rhetoric and because of your
the
actions.
bad outweighs the good.
Exactly.
How about the First Step program? How about criminal justice reform? Does he get any credit for that?
Well, first of all, the criminal justice stuff that he's touting, it was Scott and Cory Booker that got that into the law.
But Alice Johnson and others like her thank President Trump. They say without him.
But look, man, one of the things that's happening is you can make an argument that without Trump, criminal justice would not have happened. That's a false argument. What I'm saying is the efforts around criminal justice started before Trump. And you can't tell me that if Clinton had been elected or some other Democrat had been elected, they would not have signed the same legislation.
Does it speak well that he didn't stop it as president over the last
Yeah.
years?
I mean, here's what I'm saying. What we're in is a position where you see a dude do one thing and you can say, hey, that's a positive thing. But if he's doing 15 things over here that cancel out the one thing, you can't feel good about that.
You don't believe the polls that show that he has 20, 25, 30% support in the African American community?
I don't have any way to discredit that, but here's the thing. I ain't in that group.
He clearly isn't in that group. That's Dr. Howard Fuller, who, as I said, sort of took over the interview that I was conducting with another member of his group. Wow. His hatred for Trump seems to suggest that there's no chance for any support for any of the things that President Trump has accomplished on behalf of African Americans, including the issue of school choice. Isn't that an interesting contradiction? Isn't that a fascinating dichotomy? That they support an initiative that Republicans have lifted up for years, parental choice, school choice, vouchers, charter schools, and yet the hatred for Donald Trump refuses to allow them to give any credit whatsoever.